In the heart of Sri Lanka's judicial system, a storm brews over the fate of an elephant calf named Sakura. The recent suspension of Moratuwa District and Chief Magistrate Thilina Gamage from his duties has sent ripples through the legal community, raising questions about the integrity of those who sit in judgment. Yet, as one magistrate faces scrutiny, another figure looms in the shadows, seemingly untouched by the controversy that threatens to upend the very foundations of justice in the island nation. The tale of Sakura, a young elephant torn from its mother's side, weaves a complex tapestry of illegal wildlife trade, falsified documents, and judicial impropriety. At the center of this narrative stands Thilina Gamage, a magistrate whose alleged possession of the elephant calf has cast a long shadow over his career. But he is not alone in this sordid affair. High Court Judge Damit Thotawatta, implicated in the same allegation, remains curiously unscathed, his position seemingly secure despite the storm raging around his colleague. The Criminal Investigation Department (CID) has meticulously unraveled the threads of this case, revealing a disturbing picture of corruption and deceit. Their findings confirm that the elephant calf in Thilina Gamage's possession was indeed one of those orphaned by the brutal killing of its mother. This tragic event marks the beginning of a chain of errors and deliberate misdeeds that would eventually lead to the doorstep of the judiciary itself. As the CID delved deeper, they uncovered a web of falsehoods surrounding Sakura's acquisition. The elephant, it was discovered, had been kept in Gamage's Maharagama residence, a fact that raised eyebrows and questions in equal measure. The source of the calf was traced to Maharagama Ali Roshan, a name synonymous with wildlife smuggling in Sri Lanka. Ali Roshan's involvement cast a sinister light on the transaction, hinting at the dark underbelly of the illegal animal trade that continues to plague the country. Perhaps most damning were the documents associated with the elephant. The CID's investigation revealed that every piece of paperwork related to Sakura was fraudulent. Chandraratne Yatawara, listed as the original owner of the elephant, vehemently denied ever possessing such an animal when questioned by authorities. This revelation struck at the heart of Gamage's defense, exposing the elaborate lengths to which the accused had gone to legitimize his ownership of the illegally obtained calf. The gravity of these findings led to formal charges being filed against Thilina Gamage and 3 others before the High Court. The prosecution, armed with damning evidence, argued that the case warranted criminal charges under multiple sections of the Wildlife and Flora Ordinance. The court, recognizing the severity of the allegations, ordered Gamage's suspension and decreed that Sakura be relocated to the Pinawala Elephant Orphanage, a sanctuary for elephants in need of care and protection. However, the story took an unexpected turn with the return of the Rajapaksa regime to power. Suddenly, the case against Thilina Gamage, long considered a pawn in the Rajapaksa political machine, began to unravel in a manner that defied legal logic and ethical consideration. The proceedings, now overseen by Judge Damit Thotawatta, a figure whose reputation for corruption rivaled that of his political patrons, took on a surreal quality that left many observers stunned. In a move that shocked legal experts and conservationists alike, Judge Thotawatta abruptly declared midway through the trial that none of the charges against Gamage had been substantiated by the prosecution. Without calling for further evidence or allowing for a thorough examination of the facts, Thotawatta acquitted Thilina Gamage of all charges. This decision not only flew in the face of the evidence painstakingly gathered by the CID, but also raised serious questions about the independence of the judiciary under the Rajapaksa administration. The most egregious aspect of Thotawatta's ruling, however, was his order to return Sakura to Thilina Gamage's custody. This decision, made in clear contravention of legal precedent and wildlife protection laws, underscored the extent to which the judicial process had been compromised. How could an animal proven to have been illegally obtained and lacking proper registration be returned to the very individual accused of its unlawful possession? The answer, it seemed, lay not in the realm of law but in the murky waters of political influence and judicial corruption. The implications of this ruling extend far beyond the fate of a single elephant calf. They strike at the very heart of Sri Lanka's legal system, challenging the notion of justice and accountability in a nation still grappling with the legacy of civil war and political instability. If Thilina Gamage's suspension for possessing an illegal elephant calf is justified, and few would argue that it is not, then surely Judge Damit Thotawatta's role in this affair warrants equal scrutiny and action. The call for Thotawatta's suspension and investigation grows louder with each passing day. Critics argue that his decision to return Sakura to Gamage, despite the overwhelming evidence of the animal's illegal status, constitutes a grave breach of judicial ethics and possibly criminal complicity. The integrity of the entire legal system hangs in the balance, with many wondering how such blatant disregard for the law could go unchallenged in a democratic society. As the controversy unfolds, questions arise about the financial aspects of Thilina Gamage's elephant ownership. How did a judge on a modest government salary manage to afford the exorbitant costs associated with purchasing and maintaining an elephant? The initial price tag of 30 lakhs rupees for Sakura's acquisition pales in comparison to the ongoing expenses of elephant care, with monthly costs estimated at 50,000 rupees for basic upkeep. Not to mention additional expenses for food, medicine, and specialized care, the financial burden of elephant ownership far exceeds the means of most public servants. This discrepancy between Gamage's income and his lavish expenditures on Sakura raises troubling questions about potential corruption within the judiciary. Were bribes exchanged for favorable verdicts? Did Gamage leverage his position to amass wealth beyond his legitimate earnings? These questions demand answers, not just for the sake of this case, but for the integrity of Sri Lanka's entire legal system. The recent enactment of laws targeting property acquired through criminal activities adds another layer of complexity to Gamage's situation. These regulations, designed to combat corruption and illicit enrichment, could potentially be applied to the assets and expenses related to Sakura's acquisition and care. The implications are far-reaching, suggesting that not only could Gamage face legal consequences for his actions, but he might also be compelled to forfeit any property deemed to have been acquired through illegal means. As this saga continues to unfold, the people of Sri Lanka watch with bated breath. The fate of Sakura, while important, has become a symbol of a much larger struggle, a fight for transparency, accountability, and justice in a system that has too often failed to uphold these principles. The suspension of Thilina Gamage marks a significant step towards addressing the corruption that has long plagued the nation's institutions. However, as long as figures like Damit Thotawatta remain in positions of power, untouched by the consequences of their actions, true justice remains elusive. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, but it is a path that Sri Lanka must navigate if it hopes to restore faith in its judiciary and protect the vulnerable, be they human or animal, from exploitation and abuse. As the investigation into Thilina Gamage's affairs deepens and calls for action against Damit Thotawatta grow louder, the nation stands at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming days and weeks will not only determine the fate of those involved in this particular case, but will also set the tone for Sri Lanka's commitment to the rule of law in the years to come. In the end, the story of Sakura is more than just a tale of one elephant calf. It is a mirror held up to Sri Lankan society, reflecting the complexities, contradictions, and challenges that lie at the heart of the nation's quest for justice and accountability. As the sun sets over the island, casting long shadows across its lush landscapes and bustling cities, the question remains, will Sri Lanka seize this moment to chart a new course towards transparency and ethical governance, or will the shadows of corruption continue to loom large over the land?